Okay, shalom, shalom. This is Brother D with DevotedToYah.com, and this is a free conference call fellowship study. We are in the book of Yahusha, chapter 12, and first to start us off for verse 1 to 6 is Brother David, and I'm going to unmute his mic. So, Brother David, if you can start us off with the chapter 12, verse 1 to 6.
All right, thank you. There's a lot of names, so if I slip up on one or two, forgive me. Joshua or Yahushua 12, 1 through 6. And these are the kings of the land whom the children of Israel smote, and whose land they possessed beyond the Jordan towards the sun rising, from the Wadi Arnon to Mount Hermon, and all the desert plain eastward. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, ruling from Aroer, which is on the bank of the Wadi, or the river Arnon, from the middle of that river and half Gilad, even as far as the river Yabok, the border of the children of Ammon, and the desert plain from the sea of Kinneroth eastward as far as the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, the way to Beit Yeshimot, and southward below the slopes of Pisgah, and the border of Og, sovereign of Bashan, who was the remnant of the Rephaites, who dwelt at Ashtaroth and at Edrei, and ruled in Mount Hermon and in Salcah, and in all Bashan, as far as the border of the Geshurites and the Maacatites, and the half of Gilad, as far as the border of Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon. Moshe, the servant of Yah, and the children of Israel had smitten them, and Moshe, the servant of Yah, had given it as a possession to the Reubenites and to the Gadites, and to half the tribe of Manasseh. I don't really have much to add. I mean, it's just going along with the story, but I don't really have too much commentary.
Yep,
so.
there's not
Just
much.
a lot of names
so
and places, so it's kind of hard to keep up with that, with all the names, but...
Yeah, in my opinion, I think to do in-depth studies, right, on geography and all that stuff is probably best to do alone. But what we're doing as a group, we're kind of studying the story and trying to get the main messages out of it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Me personally, the reason why I started this study group is to really learn what the gospel message is. When the Messiah is coming and preaching the good news of the kingdom, right? And he's preaching about the new covenant or the renewed covenant, and the apostles are doing the same. They're preaching. I want to know what that is. What's the old covenant? What is the story? What is the good news? What is
exactly?
So my goal as we're reading, and I hope this is everybody else's goal too, because the gospel is the most important story we can get out of the scriptures, and it's the message that we're supposed to be preaching to all nations. We need to make sense of this. So we're reading from Genesis to Revelation, book by book, chapter by chapter, and we're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. A verse that sticks out to me for this subject is verse 6. It says, Moses, the servant of Yahuwah, and the children of Israel struck them. Moses, the servant of Yahuwah, gave it for a possession to the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh. That's pretty important. It's important to know that the 2.5 tribes that were outside. Some cross references. Numbers 21:24 says Israel struck him with the edge of the sword and possessed his land from the Arnon to Jabbok, even to the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was fortified. And then Numbers 32:33 says Moses gave to them, even to the children of Gad and to the children of Reuben, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, the land according to its cities and borders, even the cities of the surrounding land. We read in Genesis how Jacob laid his hands on Ephraim, on his grandchildren, Joseph's children, Ephraim and Manasseh, right? Manasseh being the oldest son and Ephraim being the youngest. And he crossed his hands, Jacob crossed his hands and blessed Ephraim with the older son's blessing and gave the older son the younger son's blessing. So Ephraim was called the fullness of the nations, and Manasseh was to be great as well. But here we go. We have 2.5 tribes that are outside of the territory, which is very interesting as far as locations are concerned. But it's good for us to kind of see somewhat the development of Israel, how they're gonna how their land is gonna be broken up and all that. So it is kind of, we don't have to get in depth with geography, but it is good to see that how they come together, how they split up, become a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom, and then how all the fighting and everything and disobedience and rebellion happens from there. But I don't have anything else to say about that. I think my wife probably would have something better to say, but her microphone's pretty low. So Leanne is up next, or Doug. Doug, you're up.
Hey,
Doug, I think you're in. Brother Doug, are you in yet? Nope, not yet. Okay. Brother David, I'll get back to you. All right, brother, I'll let you continue reading too.
Okay, I was going to say, let me just finish reading that chapter.
Oh, I think Doug had something to say real quick, David.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, verse 4 just kind of shot out at me at the Septuagint, because they give you definitions of the actual word, and it says, "And Og, king of Bashan, who dwelt in Ashtaroth and in Redraim, was left of the giants." So it seems like Yashrael was pretty much slaughtered most of the Rephaim at this point. According to my assumption.
Nice. Thanks for sharing, Doug. Leanne's up next.
I just want to say that I think it's a very big area. This is to let us understand how large a place this was. You know, I don't think it was a very tiny, I mean, for the amount of people there, it was huge. And I thought that was good what Doug just said, too.
Nice. Thanks, Leanne. All right. Brother David, we can continue. Go ahead, my brother.
Okay, thank you. One moment. Verse 7. And these are the kings of the land which Yahushua and the children of Israel smote beyond the Jordan on the west, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon as far as Mount Halak that goes up to Seir, which Yahushua gave to the tribes of Israel as a possession according to their divisions. In the mountain country, and in the desert plain, and in the slopes, and in the wilderness, and in the south, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and the sovereign of Jericho, one, the sovereign of Ai, which is beside Beit El, one, the sovereign of Jerusalem, one, the sovereign of Hebron, one, the sovereign of Yarmouth, one, the sovereign of Lachish, one, the sovereign of Eglon, one, the sovereign of Gezer, one, the sovereign of Debir, one, the sovereign of Gedar, one, the sovereign of Hormah, one, the sovereign of Arad, one, the sovereign of Libnah, one, the sovereign of Adullam, one, the sovereign of Makkedah, one, the sovereign of Beit El, one, or Bethel, the sovereign of Tappuah, one, the sovereign of Hefer, one, the sovereign of Aphek, one, the sovereign of Sharon, one, the sovereign of Madon, one, the sovereign of Hatzor, one, the sovereign of Shimron, Meron, one, the sovereign of Akshaph, one, the sovereign of Ta'anak, one, the sovereign of Megiddo, one, the sovereign of Kadesh, one, the sovereign of Yokneam, one, in Carmel, one, The sovereign of Dor in the heights of Dor, 1. The sovereign of the nations of Gilgal, 1. The sovereign of Tirzah, 1. 31 sovereigns in all.
Yeah, and that concludes the book of Yahusha, chapter 12. David, I don't know if you have anything to share, but Kristen and Bobby are up next. They want to share something or ask a question.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thanks, brother.
I have a question. I don't know why. Every time I want to ask a question, I feel like it's stupid, but I'm just a little confused about the name for Joshua, how in, like, different versions of the text, it says Yahusha in one, and then another will say Yehoshua. I was just wondering if I could get a little understanding on that.
Sure. Where are you seeing the difference? Show me two different ones, and maybe we can.
In the Sefer it says Yahusha, and then in ISR. I'm sorry.
What chapter and verse?
No, just for I'm talking about the book Joshua, like.
Oh, the book, the title of the book?
Yeah.
Okay, he has Yahusha in the Sefer, right? Yahusha?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then in the ISR, it's Yehoshua.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's debates over the pronunciation of the name Joshua, and a lot of it has to do with the vowel pointings, the Masoretic text. So the Masoretic text versus the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is Dead Sea Scrolls supposedly is older. It's a lot older.
Right.
Masoretic text is a copy of the Hebrew Scriptures that was it was a copy that they added vowel points to around 900 A.D.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they put vowel points in it, which it didn't have vowel points before, but they put vowel points in it supposedly to help people like us who don't know how to pronounce certain words in Hebrew. So we can pronounce the vowels and things like that. So they put it in there, and when you look in the Masoretic text without the vowel points, which you can do on blueletterbible.org, okay, you can actually look at the Masoretic text, and you can take the vowel points off. You will actually see that the name of Joshua, son of Nun, shows up 218 times in the Hebrew, and twice his name is spelled with an extra U before the A at the end, twice in the Old Testament, while 216 times there's no U before the A, but the vowel points force the pronunciation of a U before the A because of the dots in the vowel points.
Mm-hmm.
So there's people that say, oh, we might as well stick with the traditions of the Masoretics and stick with the vowel point rules that they have, and then there's other people that are like, no, I don't agree. I believe that was a tradition of man. Like, why are you going to force a vowel point that's not there, a vowel sound that's not there? So that's why I go with Yahusha, because it's 216 times spelled that way, but I do see it there twice with the U before the A at the end. So, and in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is older, you also see both spellings as well. So I don't know anything deeper. I don't know what the meaning of that is. I don't know the significance of adding a U before the A. Maybe it has a role. And we know that Hebrew's deep, right? So even if you just add one letter, it kind of has to be there for a reason. I don't know what the reason is there. So, and then the Yehoshua, just ignore that. I think that's a complete butchering of the name when you go from Yah to Yeh, Y-E-H, instead of Y-A-H. And that's what you'll see in the Strong's Concordances. They'll tell you it's Yehoshua. And what I learned from a sister that I debated on the name Yahusha versus Yeshua is that many who write Yehoshua actually believe that name simply means he will save. So it goes away from saying Yah will save, right? The Father will save, to a very generic he saves or he will save. So for me, I feel like you're taking the identity out of the person's name. You're taking out the meaning of it, which that's just my conclusion. I see that the short name of the Father's name is H3050. It's Yah. We have it in Hallelujah, which means praise Yah. everybody around the world agrees with Yah being the short version of the Father's name, but it's weird how all of a sudden we go to somebody's full name, and if they have the Yod and the Hey in the beginning of the name, they go from Yah and they change it to Yeh. That doesn't make sense to me. So that's probably the explanation. Some people are following, some translations are following the traditions, and they're keeping it Yehoshua, like the ISR. They put Yehoshua in there. I think Sefer does it right, though. I think they're putting Yahusha rightfully. But to each his own. We all got to study this thing out and get our own conviction for it. So it's a good question.
Thank you.
I mean, we are reading the book of Yahusha, so it was a good question. Don't know if you have any follow-up questions after that, or?
No, that was it.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Doug's up next.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Darynell, if Kristen and Bobby were curious, the actual Hebrew that's used for the son's name, though, even though they say it's Yehoshua, if you look at the actual Hebrew that's used in the ISR, it is Yahusha. The actual the Hebrew name they use actually links up with Yahusha, and so does the Hallelujah Scriptures has the Paleo Hebrew for Yahusha in their translation.
Yeah, in the ISR, the New Testament, the Brit Hadashah, it's a Yod, Hey, Wa, Shin, Ayin. Those are the letters. Y, H, S, H, U, A. That's the spelling that's actually in the ISR. But it's interesting that when it comes, that's the same spelling. That's exactly how it's spelled in the Old Testament, in the Tanakh, for Joshua the son of Nun, but they decide to put the English word Yehoshua. So it's interesting that they decide to do that. Thanks, Doug.
Whose blood is in you today?
All right, I think that's it with those questions. That was chapter 12, and let's go on, move to 13. And if anybody wants to read, for those who are new here, who just came in, got Franco came in and Marty, we're in the book of Yahusha, and we're in chapter 13. If you guys have a question or a comment on your phone, you have to press *61, and then you should be able to get in and ask a question, share a comment, give a cross-reference, make a connection, anything you can do to help out. *6 and then 1. Now we're going into chapter 13. If anybody wants to read, please, I'm being told here to read the comments in the messenger. Okay, let me read the comments in the messenger. There's a lot of comments. I lose a little bit of track. Where should I begin? Let's see here. If anybody can just press, I'd rather you guys, if you're on the call, please press *6 rather than messenger. I think it's better to hear your voice and to you get involved than for me to read the messenger. Except for my wife, because I know her mic is really low. Let's see here. She says, isn't it about the extra ayin in Yahusha to give Yahushua? No, it's the extra wa, the extra u. And then not so much the vowels, but the extra letter. Sure, but there's no extra u at the end of before the ayin in Yahusha, but the vowel points force the pronunciation of a u before the a, and that's kind of the problems that I have with it. But Franco just joined the call, me and my brother Marty. Cool, hallelujah. David says Yahushua is used more in the Hebrew in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but Yahusha is still used predominantly. Cool, thank you for sharing. I've heard of that as well. There in Joshua 11, okay. Used more in the Dead Sea Scrolls than the Masoretic text, sorry. Okay, David said he meant the Dead Sea Scrolls. In Numbers 13:16, the full name, Jehoshua, is used in the KJV, And in 1 Chronicles 7:27, the name Yehoshua with an H at the end is used. Very interesting. Yeah, because Yeshua in the Hebrew actually has an extra H at the end of it for the word salvation. But then there's also Yeshua in Aramaic, which means he is saved, if you look in a concordance. Which that is very weird to me. Why would the name of our Messiah be he is saved? What does our Messiah need to be saved from? And that. Some people disagree. They say it doesn't mean he is saved. They believe it means he saves. So they believe that the Y-E-H O or U-S-H-U-A, the Yahoshua, and Yeshua have the same exact meaning. And for me, that doesn't make sense. But anyway, and that's it for Messenger. So please, guys, no Messenger. If you guys can get on. Other than my wife, I understand her mic is low on her phone. But if you can get on, just get on. Leanne, you're up next.
I wanted to read. Are we
Awesome.
going to? We're not ready to go to 13 yet.
You're up next. David Holyfield has a question or a comment, and I will unmute you after him. Okay?
All right, great, thanks.
Cool.
Well, I wanted to comment and speak really quickly on we had talked before on the Hebrew word Yeshua, or I think you would say Yahshua, because in the Hebrew, like it was used in Genesis and Exodus, and it's used all throughout the Tanakh, but the spelling is Y-S-H-U-A. So I would assume that they would say Yahshua.
Yeah, me too.
Not
agree.
Yeshua.
It would be Y-A,
however,
Y-A instead of Y-E.
Y-A-S-H-U-A. H.
Yeah.
Now, I did look up in the Hebrew, and I'll have to go back, and I can pull this up later. But I did look on Blue Letter Bible, and I looked at the Masoretic text, and I did see that sometimes that word Yeshua or Yahshua, that means salvation, like when it says, Yah has become my salvation. In the Hebrew, it says, Yah has become my Yahshua. Sometimes that Yahshua does not have an H on the end of it. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it has like some type of grammatical markings. And I'm not a Hebrew professional, but I can at least read it enough to know what letters it's telling you is there. But some of the stuff on the end, I don't know what it means. However, that word Yahshua is used in the Hebrew, but I mean, to me, I think really the whole, whether you say Yahusha or Yahushua, the name, you're still saying to me, Yah is salvation or Yah saves.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I don't know, but what I was trying to say in the chat too was in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in Hebrew, Yahushua is used more in the Masoretic than how it's used in the Masoretic text, but Yahusha is still used predominantly in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So, to me, my thing is this: if
but
that
was a confusing statement, though. It sounds like you're saying, like,
right? Do you get what I'm saying now, though?
Shows up more in the Dead Sea.
Okay. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, both Yahusha and Yahushua show up.
Yeah.
Now, Yahusha shows up more, but what I was saying, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Yahushua shows up more than Yahushua shows up in the Masoretic text. So in the Masoretic text, Yahushua only shows up twice, but in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's several more times, but most of it is in the book of Joshua. But I'll have to go and find that, but
yeah, because that's what I heard as well. That's what I heard as well. I haven't seen it for myself.
I've seen video like on YouTube when someone had like a picture from the scroll, but I'll go back and find that because it's definitely something that I want to look for. But really, at the end of the day, Yah is salvation. So
yeah. I don't debate over it. I don't get mad over people using Yahushua versus Yahusha. I'm like, come on now, like we're all saying the same thing, and there's a doctrine out there being preached that Yahushua is blasphemy, and you're saying Yah cries out and he's crying for help, and I think it's just it's a lot of conspiracy. I ain't gonna lie. It's like
exactly
very
and we see too that Shua, there are times, but again, I mean, there's so many different Hebrew words that are spelled so similarly and have, very different meanings. But ultimately, I think the main thing is, like you said earlier, we need to keep Yah in the Father's name and Yah in the Son's name as well. Because when we say the Son's name, we're saying the Father's name, Yahushua or Yahusha. You're saying Yah. And we need to keep that in. When you say Yeshua, I'd rather you say Yahshua, because if you spell it Y-A-H-S-H-U-A, you're still saying Yahshua. Yah is salvation.
Yeah.
So it's really a lot of confusing doctrine out there, but you just have to be careful and really not let the arguments and the confusion, sidetrack you, because there is a lot of that out there. But we can see even in the King James that how they listed Jehoshua twice, but then the other times they put Joshua. So we see right there the English translators chose to not write out Jehoshua. I mean, look, they could have still written Jehoshua, but they chose to write Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at least we can see the full name, because even if we have the King James, I still believe that we can still show the Father's name of Yah in the King James, even with all the J's in there. So, hallelujah that those two spellings are in there, because it at least, opens us up to show, how the name was long and then how it's been shortened. And it's just so interesting how they say, it means he saved. Well, what happened to Yah? Because the name was originally Yah saves, or Yah is salvation. But people want to act like they don't see how Yah's name has been taken out. If you got like that one debate you had with that sister about, if you change the name, because, I mean, really the thing is what you're changing is you're just changing it to the proper pronunciation. His name is not Yehosha or Yahusha, it's Yahusha or Yahushua. It's not Yehoshua or Yahoshua, but I digress. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you, David. Yeah, and I don't want to stay on this topic. Let's continue reading. But that was a good question. I actually put a video up on YouTube of why I use Yahusha and why we use Yahuwah. If you guys are interested, go on the Devoted to Yah YouTube page, and you can watch that video, or there's better videos than mine, so feel free. It's out there, and we all got to search this thing out for ourselves. But let's go to the next chapter. Leanne's up next. Let me find Leanne. Thanks, David. And Leanne, you're unmuted. So
I don't want to read it now, I'm telling you. I'm just joking. It's like, oh, wow, what do I say now? So anyway, I'm going to say I don't get tied up in that. I could have already made it to $120 while you guys are talking. I'm sorry. But anyway, I think that because we say Joshua, so I'm going to say Yahushua, right? Isn't that what we say?
I say Yahusha. You can do Yahushua, whatever you feel comfortable.
Yahusha. Anyway, I didn't care at all before that. Anyway, and Yahusha was old and advanced in years, and Yahweh said to him, "You are old and advanced in years, and still much of the land remains to be possessed. This is the land that remains. All the districts from the Philistine and all the Geshurites from Shikor, which is in the front of Mizraim, and up to the border of Ekron, northward. And consider that Canaanite, and the five princesses of the Philistine, and the and the Ashdodites, and the Askelonites, and the Gedonites, and the Ekronites, also the Arkianites on the south, and all the land of the Canaanites, and the Meerah, the belongings of the Tisdonians, as far as Ekhiu, and the border of the Ammonites, and the land of the Gabtites, and all Lebanon, toward the sunrise, from Baal Gad below Mount Cameron, as far as the entrance of Hamath. All the inhabitants of the mountains from Lebanon, as far as Merapoth, Maim, and all the Tizanites. I myself drive them out from before the children of Israel, only divide it by lot to Israel and an inheritance as I have commanded you. And now divide the land as an inheritance to the 9 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh.
All right, yeah, let's just take that in real quick. So basically, there still remains some lands to take over. That's basically what we read here. There's still yet some land to be taken over, and then that last part there is important, right? Touching on Manasseh again, there's a half-tribe in the land and a half-tribe out the land. So the 2.5 tribes in the previous chapter got their portion, but yet the other half-tribe of Manasseh has not gotten their portion.
This was a long process. I wonder how many years all this took.
It's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure the answer's out there.
Because it didn't go just like this book read, because I think that there was a lot of complaining, a lot of talking between all the divisions, you know. It was, I mean, a lot was copied down, but I think this took a very long time.
All right. I don't know if anybody else has anything to share. If not, we'll let Leanne continue. Going once.
More than 40 years, apparently.
All right, we'll keep moving. Go ahead, Leanne. Verses 8 to 14.
Okay, with them, the other half of the Reubenites, the Gadites, received their inheritance, which Mushan had given them beyond the Jordan eastward, as Mushan, the servant of Yahweh, had given them, from Or, which is on the bank of the Wadi, Aaron, and the city that is in the middle of the Wadi, and all the plain of Mediba, and as far as Dion. How far? How far do you want me to go?
Verse 14.
Okay. And all the cities of Sicon, sovereign of the Armanis, who reigned in Keshbon, as far as the border of the children of Ammon, and Gilead, and the border of the Geshuronites, and of the Machonites, and all Mount Karam, and all Bashan, as far as Skalkea, as the reign of Og in Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth and Erdai, who remained of the remnant of Raphaim and Mushan, and smitten the dispossessed them. However, the children of Israel did not drive out the Gershonites nor the Machonites. So the Gershonites dwelt in the midst of Israel to this yom. Only the tribe of Lewi, the Levites, had given no inheritance, the offering made by fire to Yahweh Elohim of Israel for their inheritance, as he said to them.
Okay, hallelujah. So the Levites, they have no inheritance, but they're living within the different tribes.
He's their inheritance. Didn't they get paid from the offerings, right?
Yes. The tithes,
that's it,
offerings,
you know.
All of them, they were taken care of. Yep.
Yeah. Because they couldn't really have another job. Their job was to serve.
That's correct.
And I think rightly so.
Mm-hmm.
Rightly so.
Yeah. Let's see here if we can find a cross-reference for that. 13, verse 14. We got Numbers 18, 20 to 24, Deuteronomy 10, verse 8 and 9, and Deuteronomy 18, verse 1 to 5. Those are some cross-references going back, pointing backwards to our previous studies, connecting the inheritance for the Levites. So my wife posted something up.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, she said, regarding your question, how long this took, she says it was more than 40 years for all this because Caleb will ask for land when he is 80.
Yeah.
She's smart. See?
She is a smarty. Why can't she get her own mic, though? That's what I want to say.
I don't know what's going on over there.
You got two. She's got none.
Joshua 14, verse 10 to 13 is a cross-reference for it. And we're about to get in there, actually. So
yeah, we're moving on up. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Thank
Correction,
you.
she says 85 years, so she must have did her own little math there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she saw the age. Cool. Good job, babe. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read. Let me take over and read a little bit of this chapter. I'll probably finish the chapter. Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay, so let's go to verse 15, the land of Reuben. So let's see here. And Moshe had given to the tribe of the children of Reuben an inheritance according to their families. Their territory was from Aurora, which is on the bank of the river Arnon, and the city that is in the midst of the ravine, and all the plain by Medeba. Give me a second, guys. I'll switch my version to the web. I'm reading the web version. 15. Okay, there we go. The border, verse 16, the border was from Aurora, that is on the edge of the valley of the Arnon, and the city that is in the middle of the valley, and all the plain by the Medeba, Heshbon, and all its cities that are in the plain, Dibon, Bamoth, Baal, Beth, Baal, Meon, which all this stuff means Lord of this, Lord of that. If we look it up, let's look it up real quick. So, doesn't actually say Baal. That's interesting. Why the web version says that. I don't know if anybody else is seeing something different, but I got Bamoth Baal. And when I look up the actual Hebrew, oh yeah, it is Baal. For H1120, Bamoth Baal means great high place, they say. It's interesting because Baal means Lord. So I thought it would mean Lord of the high place maybe or something like that. But I guess not. And then the other one, Beth Baal. Beth Baal Meon means house of Baal. So, house of the Lord. Or maybe that's Baal in the sense of a pagan deity, the Phoenician deity that we always talk about. I know Doug wants to jump in on this right now, so let me just let him speak.
Oh boy, here we go. Let's see. Baal can refer to Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, and I think I encourage everyone to do their own research on their own time. But I've found out that Baal, the Phoenician deity, can even refer to Satan himself. And that's why I wanted to make the connection to Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies. So,
cool. I thought that was a combination of different words, not just Baal. It was connected, though. Baal and Zebub or something like that, which makes it Beelzebub. Anyway, thanks, Doug. I'm going to keep on going here. Sorry. I'm on a little rabbit trail.
Yeah.
All right, verse 18. Jahaz, Kedemoth, Mephath, Kiriathaim, Sibma, Zereth, Shahar in the mount of the valley, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, Beth Jeshimoth, all the cities of the plain, and all the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon, whom Moses struck with the chiefs of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, the princes of Sihon, who lived in the land. The children of Israel also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, the soothsayer, with the sword, among the rest of their slain. It's back in Numbers 31:8. The border of the children of Reuben was the bank of the Jordan. This was the inheritance of the children of Reuben according to their families, the cities and its villages. So that was that portion there. That was the land of Reuben. That's the land that they took over. All those pagan Gentile nations they had took over. That's their territory. Now, verses 24 to 28 is about the land of God. Some people say Gad. So verse 24 says, Moshe gave to the tribe of Gad, the children of God, according to their families. Their border was Jazer, and all the cities of Gilead, and half the land of the children of Ammon, to Aurora, that is near Rabbah, and from Heshbon to Ramath Mizpah, and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the border of Debir. And in the valley, Beth Haram, Beth Nimrah, Succoth, almost looks like Sukkot, and Zephon, the rest of the kingdom of Sihon, king of Heshbon, the Jordan's bank, to the uttermost part of the sea of Chinnereth, beyond the Jordan eastward. And 28, this is the inheritance of the children of God according to their families, the cities and its villages. So that's that. And then verse 29 to 33 is the half-tribe of Manasseh. 29. Moshe gave an inheritance to the half-tribe of Manasseh. It was for the half-tribe of the children of Manasseh according to their families. Their border was from Mahanaim, all Bashan, all the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and all the villages of Jair, which are in Bashan. 60 cities. Half Gilead, Ashtaroth, and Edrei, the cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. Wherefore the children of Machir, the son of Manasseh, even for the half of the children of Machir according to their families. These are the inheritances which Moshe distributed in the plains of Moab, beyond the Jordan, at Jericho eastward. But Moshe, gave no inheritance to the tribe of Levi. Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yisrael, is their inheritance, as he spoke to them. So that was repeated again. Again, those cross-references for that, for the Levi is Numbers 18:20. Yahuwah said to Aharon, you shall have no inheritance in their land, neither shall you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Yisrael. They are special to Yahuwah. Okay? He made a special covenant with the children of Aaron. Deuteronomy 10:9 says, therefore Levi has no portion nor inheritance with his brothers. Yahuwah is his inheritance according as Yahuwah your Elohim spoke to him. Deuteronomy 18:2, they shall have no inheritance among their brothers. Yahuwah is their inheritance as he has spoken to them. So it's really important also to mention that the Levites have a everlasting covenant. Till heaven and earth pass away. And I'm going to point to one that I'm very familiar with, and if anybody else has any more to point to, please share. I'm going to go to, let's see if I got the right chapter here. It's in the book of Yirmiyahu, book of Jeremiah. Verse 21, or starting at 20, Yahuwah says, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, so that there will not be day and night in their time, then you may Then may my covenant also be broken with David my servant, that he won't have a son to reign on his throne, and with the Levites, my priests, my ministers. So, if you can't change the covenant with the day and the covenant with the night, if the covenant with the day and the covenant with the night has not been changed, then the covenant with the Levites have not been changed. It's very important to see. All right, if anybody wants to read the next chapter, we're going into 14. Keep it moving here. Press *61. Or press your question button if you're on the app. Get your turn. Speak the word with your voice. Hallelujah. *61, Yahushua chapter 14. Anyone? Chapter 14 will be about the land divided west of the Jordan. Okay, Tara, you're up next.
So Yahushua 14,
Yep.
verse 1. And where do you want me to stop?
Let's see. We can do 1 to 5. Take a break there, see if we have anything to say or share, and then if not, I'll let you read the rest of the chapter after that. So 1 to 5 for now.
Okay. Now these the children of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Yahushua son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel caused them to inherit. Their inheritance was by lot, as Yahuwah had commanded by the hand of Moshe, for the 9 tribes and half-tribe. For Moshe had given the inheritance of the 2 tribes and the half-tribe beyond the Jordan. But to the Levites he gave no inheritance in their midst, for the children of Joseph had become 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, and they gave no part to the Levites in the land except cities to dwell in, with their open land for their livestock and their possessions, as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. So the children of Israel did, and they divided the land.
Hallelujah. And there goes Ephraim and Manasseh showing up again. It's very special what happened with those grandchildren of Jacob. You know, there was originally the 12 tribes of Yisrael, Jacob, which the 12 sons, which made up the 12 tribes. But then he adopted the 2 grandchildren, Ephraim and Manasseh, as his own. And so it's interesting how they get their identity as 2 of the 12 tribes. That's pretty cool. So that's showing up again. We'll be seeing a lot of Ephraim and Manasseh show up in future scriptures. All right, verse 6 to the end is about Caleb inheriting Hebron. So go ahead, Sister Tara, if you can continue reading.
Okay, and I wanted to add about Ephraim and Manasseh, how also when the kingdom was divided, they also they say house of Israel, but in some instances, in other scriptures, it's also the house of Ephraim or Ephraim.
That's right. Yes, good point. Very good.
Because the whole use of the adoption of the grandchildren, or, those that weren't his original son, like Joseph was his original son, but by him adopting the grandchildren as his son is the same thing, I believe, is the same as, the house of Ephraim going out and, the adoption of other nations for those engrafted in,
Yeah, no, very good point to bring up, actually. And the prophecy, right, when Jacob laid his hands on Ephraim and Manasseh, he said that Ephraim would be the fullness of the Gentiles, or of the nations, right? And so, like you said, you'll see the house of Israel they're also called the house of Ephraim, which make up the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom, which are the first part of the kingdom to get scattered all over the world And then we come to the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, and Yahushua says he's come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and the whole mission to preach to the Gentiles. And we know that at this point, and even to today, the house of Ephraim, the house of Israel, is mixed and mingled in with all of the Gentiles all over the world. We're so mixed and scattered. So that's very important. That's why that's a good. I'm glad you're bringing this up, because that's the point of why we're studying this. We want to track this, and we're not seeing all of it yet. We're kind of speaking ahead of time, but we're seeing the development, right? Ephraim and Manasseh getting their share, but we're going to see how Ephraim starts to show up more and more, and how it's like, how are they going to become the fullness of the nations? I don't understand that, right? We're not seeing the fullness of that prophecy coming to pass yet, but it's slowly developing. So right now, Ephraim and Manasseh got their portion. They're considered, 2 tribes. It's awesome. So good point. Thank you for elaborating a little bit more on it. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And I also wanted to just add, too, that I had learned this a while ago, that initially Yahuwah had wanted to create a nation for himself, to be a standard and an example to then draw in the rest of the world. Well, because the nation couldn't get it together, and they was themselves going after other gods, and, they weren't doing what they were chosen to do, because a lot of people make a big emphasis on the chosen piece. And being chosen means you were chosen for responsibility, to be a standard to draw the rest of the world in. And so because they did not do what they were supposed to do as a chosen people, then that's when the Father said, okay, you know what? You're not going to do what you're supposed to do. I'm going to scatter you all over the world, and you're then going to intermingle and then still bring the rest of the world in when you come back too. So it was like initially they were supposed to draw the world in and didn't do what they were supposed to do. So he said, okay, I'm going to scatter you all over and then draw the world in along with you too.
That's right. That's right, Tara. That's exactly why we're studying. So anybody who's listening, we're jumping ahead, but this is it. This is the gospel. This is the good news. This is the good news about the restoration of Yisrael. And we're getting ahead of ourselves because we get excited about it. But there you go. You get a taste. And, no, I love it. I love it, Tara, and I want to do that regularly. Every time we come across these passages that even spark that concept, we need to bring it out and let our listeners know. And those who haven't heard of this message before, who haven't heard of the restoration of Israel or the lost tribes of the house of Israel or the house of Ephraim and the fullness of the nations, people who haven't made sense of that. I know for me, being in Christianity, I thought the fullness of the Gentiles was strictly just fullness of Gentiles, people who were never Israelites before, and that's it. It's just about us coming in and being grafted in because we were never part of salvation before and God's children, but it's so much deeper than that. It's more deeper and specific, actually. So we're to be Israel. There's an actual identity with the chosen people. So, and for all we know, we could be from the tribe of Ephraim. I was taught that I'm Puerto Rican. But for all I know, I could probably be part of one of the tribes of the 10 tribes of the Northern Kingdom for all I know. I don't know. It's possible. That would be awesome. If I was able to confirm that and find that out, I'd be excited. And but when you look at me, you might look at me as a Gentile.
Right.
And I think that's what was going on in the Brit Hadashah. I think some lost tribes they were able to identify. They knew who they were, right? Maybe because they kept the customs. They were dressing the same and eating, trying to keep some of the commandments and trying to come back into covenant, right? But then there are probably others, I'm sure, that they look like the other nations, and you can't tell who they are because they're so mixed and mingled. But the gospel is supposed to get preached to them too. It doesn't matter if you're an Israelite or a Gentile. The gospel gets preached to you, but the first goal is to get back his original, the inheritors of the covenants of promise. That's the goal, to get his original bride back, and then those wild branches to come in. So there is a distinction, and it's exciting. So thanks, Tara. And I don't know if anybody else has anything to share. For those of you who just came in, we're in the book of Yahushua, chapter 15 right now. I mean, is that correct?
14.
No, we're in the chapter, 14. Chapter 14, and Tara's about to finish us off reading 6 to 15. And if anybody has any questions or comments, press *6 1. All right, Tara, take it away. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. And the children of Yehuda came to Yehoshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, son of Yefuneh the Kenizzite, said to him, "You know the word which Yahuwah said to Moshe, the man of Elohim, concerning you and me in Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when Moshe, the servant of Yahuwah, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land, and I brought back word to him as it was in my heart. But my brothers who went up with me made the heart of the people melt, but I followed Yahuwah my Elohim completely. So Moshe swore on that day, saying, the land on which your foot has trodden is your inheritance, and your children's forever, because you have followed Yahuwah my Elohim completely." So that would be, wouldn't that be another in Caleb? Wouldn't that be another example as far as when he said the land on which your foot has trodden is your inheritance and your children forever because you have followed Yahuwah my Elohim completely? So the Moshe and the children of Judah came to.
Go ahead. I'm listening. Work out your question. Take your time.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, wait a minute. And the children of Judah came to Yahushua and Gilgal and Caleb. Okay, and he said it to Caleb. So Caleb was a Kenizzite. So Caleb wasn't part of the children of Israel, right?
I always believed he was. Let me see. Caleb is described here and elsewhere as a Kenizzite. 14:14. We haven't read it yet. Also, Numbers 32, verse 12. Let's go to Numbers 32, verse 12 real quick. See what that says. Numbers. It's a good question. 32, verse 12.
I mean, he could be.
It says here, starting at 11, surely none of the men who came up out of Egypt from 20 years old and upward shall see the land which I swore to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me, except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, and Yahusha, the son of Nun, because they have followed Yahuwah completely. So he's definitely Kenizzite. So Kenizzite is not. Let me see. Kenizzite H7074, descendant of Kenaz. If anybody has an answer to this, jump on in. *61. It's a good question. What is a Kenizzite? We know it's a son of Kenaz, but what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm looking it up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good question. It's going to bother me if I don't know the answer.
Says he is from Yehuda.
There are some who teach that Caleb was a Gentile. So this is a debate. You see, this isn't like, it's not like it's a stupid question. People debate this stuff. You know, there's people out there that teach that he's a Gentile, but then there's others that say no, he's an Israelite.
But Millie says Numbers 13:16 say he is from Yehuda.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's read it. 13:16. It says.
6.
These are the names of the men which Moshe sent to spy out the land, and Moshe called Oshea, or Husha, some of us would say. Where's my web version? There we go. Moses spied out the land. Moshe called Husha, the son of Nun, Yahusha.
Number 6.
Oh, I read 16. My bad. Of the tribe of Yehuda, Caleb, son of Jephunneh. Boom.
There we go.
End of debate. The debate is over. So
Yeah.
anybody debating this has not read that passage. So good job, babe. Thank you very much. Hallelujah. I love the word.
Okay. So
Where were we at?
9 or 10.
Cool. Yeah, go ahead and finish us off, and then Doug, I'll let you get in after she's done, okay?
So Moshe swore on that day, saying, the land on which your foot has trodden is your inheritance and your children forever, because you have followed Yahuwah, my Elohim, completely. And now see, Yahuwah has kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years since Yahuwah spoke this word to Moshe while Israel walked in the wilderness. And now see, I am 85 years old today. Yet I am still as strong today as I was on the day that Moshe sent me. As my strength was then, so my strength is now for battle and for going out and for coming in. And now give me this mountain of which Yahuwah spoke in that day, for you heard in that day how the Anakim were there, and the cities were great and walled. If Yahuwah is with me, then I shall dispose them, as Yahuwah said. Yahushua then blessed him and gave Hebron to Caleb, son of Yefuneh, as an inheritance. So Hebron became the inheritance of Caleb, son of Yefuneh, the Kenizzite, to this day, because he followed Yahuwah Elohim of Israel completely. Now the name of Hebron was formerly Kiryas Arba. Arba was the greatest man among the Anakim, and the land had rest from fighting.
Awesome. And there's the passage about Caleb's age, which gives us a little bit of insight on how long all this took. So he's like 85 years old from the wilderness all the way into this point. So it's definitely taken more than 40 years for all this stuff to take place. So that was a good catch from my wife again. And Brother Doug. Tara, if you got any comments or anything you want to share before I give it over to Doug?
Nope.
Awesome. Thank you for reading and thank you for contributing. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found it interesting that Caleb is from the tribe of Yehuda, and I believe Yahusha, son of Nun, is actually from Ephraim. So I actually found it interesting that those two guys would be the ones to lead the next generation to the Promised Land, kind of like almost like a Sod level, the two houses coming together. So I just thought that was interesting to share, and it's very interesting that it took them this long, that Yahusha was very old in age until they dispossessed all these tribes. So I just thought that was interesting.
Nice, Doug. Thank you. So let me read the messenger here. Gosh, I hate that my wife's phone is not great. Says, Darnell, will you turn your mic volume up kind of low on my end? All right, I could turn it up just a bit because I'm kind of hitting the red area. Yeah, I don't think I want to turn it up anymore because I am hitting a red area. Sorry about that. I'll just probably try to speak a little louder. Numbers 13:6 says he is from Yehuda. The issue, my wife says, the issue is that in Genesis 15, verse 19, it mentions Kenite as a separate entity than Abraham. In essence, that the seed of Abraham would take over the Kenite land. Caleb is mentioned as a Kenite, so some believe he was grafted into Yehuda. And there goes the debate for that. And that's why it's online. As you post up, are Kenizzites Gentiles or is Caleb a Gentile? You're going to find a lot of stuff to study. So here's what it could point to. Here's the point. Okay, regardless, Gentiles were allowed to be grafted in. For those of you racist people out there who don't think Gentiles can be saved, you don't read your scriptures. And regardless of their skin complexion, their melanin, it doesn't matter. It was a mixed multitude that came out of Mitzrayim in Egypt. Okay? Plenty of time to blend in. And we see all of Torah established in the wilderness by Moshe to accept the stranger, accept him, receive him, treat him as a native born. These are commandments. The Torah is to be given to foreigners and the natives. One law for both the native and the foreigner. It's all over the Torah. So I really can't stand that racism stuff. It gets on my nerves. But you'll see tons of scriptures like this all over Scripture that gives you the insight that Yahuwah is inclusive. While you and your cult and your 501c3 money-making, institution claiming to be an Israelite, you guys are completely wrong. And you will burn in a lake of fire for telling all the Caucasian people that they can't come in. Shame on you. Get your life right. And I'm not even going to give you the time of day. You're a waste of my time. I will not debate you on this foolishness. I will rebuke you. If I ever see a black Hebrew Israelite here in St. Louis, which they are, I plan on going with my brother, because my brothers rebuked them already. I plan on preaching out in the streets, and I will video record me rebuking these guys out on the streets, and I will put it up on YouTube. But I'm not having no sit-down talking about this stupidness, this complete foolishness. All right, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just getting really riled up right now. Gentiles are always welcome to Yisrael. This is not anything new. All right. Let's take a break here. That was chapter 14, Yahusha chapter 14. And we will take a short break before we continue on to the next chapter. Shalom. All right. Shalom, shalom. This is Brother D. We're in the book of Yahusha, chapter 15. And if anybody would like to read, I read, Tara read, Leanne read, David read. If anybody else wants to read, again, the only thing we ask is please keep Yah in the name of the Father and the name of the Son and the Son of None. Please, I beg you. But anybody want to read, press star 6. If not, I will read. Going once. Going twice. I will read. Okay, let's see here. Yahusha 15. Again, I'm reading from the web version. I got some brothers reading from the Septuagint, LXXE. We got some people reading from the ISR. We got some people reading from Basora, Sefer. Take your pick. We like to read them all and observe the differences and dialogue about it. Okay, Yahusha chapter 15. Daisy, stop licking me. I'm studying. Yahusha chapter 15. The lot for the tribe of the children of Yehuda according to their families was to the border of Edom, even to the wilderness of Zin southward at the uttermost part of the south. The south border was from the uttermost part of the Salt Sea, from the bay that looked southward. And it went out southward of the ascent of Akrabim, and passed along to Zin, and went up by the south of Kadesh Barnea, and passed along by Hezron, went up to Adar, and turned toward Karka. And it passed along to Azman, went out at the brook of Egypt, Mitzrayim, and the border ended at the sea. This shall be your south border. The east border was the Salt Sea, even to the end of the Jordan. The border of the north quarter was from the bay of the sea at the end of the Jordan. The border went up from Beth Hogla, and passed along by the north of Beth Araba. And the border went up from the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuben. And I'm going to go to verse 12. Right now we're at verse 7. The border went up to Debir from the valley of Achor and so northward, looking toward Gilgal, that faces the ascent of Adumim, which is on the south side of the river. The border passed along the waters of En-Shemesh and ended at En-Rogel. The border went up by the valley of the son of Hinnom to the side of the Jebusite, also called Yerushalayim, southward. The side of Jebusite. The border went up by the valley of the son of Hinnom to the side of Jebusite, also called Yerushalayim. Cool, interesting. Southward. And the border went up to the top of the mountain that lies before the valley of Hinnom, westward, which is at the farthest part of the valley of Rephaim, northward. The border extended from the top of the mountain to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, and went out to the cities of Mount Ephron. And the border extended to Baalah, also called Kiriath Jehoarim. So I think a lot of these places have the names that they were from the Gentile nations, and then what they probably were when they changed later on. And the border turned about from Baalah westward to Mount Seir, and passed along to the side of Mount Jearim, also called Chesalon, on the north, and went down to Beth Shemesh and passed along by Timnah. And the border went out to the side of Ekron northward, and the border extended to Shikharan and passed along to Mount Balaah, and went out at Jebneel, and the goings out of the border were at the sea. The west border was to the shore of the great sea. This is the border of the children of Yehudah according to their families. That's what verse 1 to 12 was all about, the land of Yehudah. Okay? I suck at geography, so don't ask me no questions about geography, because I ain't there yet. Verse 13. And if anybody else wants to read, please press star 61. I see Brother Doug is on here. Let me let him in.
Something really jumped out to me. The name of one of these cities, I couldn't believe it. In the Septuagint, it says, and the border going forth from the top of the mountain terminates at the fountain of the water of Naphro, and terminates at Mount Ephron, and the border will lead to Baal. This is the city of Yarim. So I wonder who lived at that city that would name that city after this guy. That's just what's going through my mind right now.
Got you. It says Bala'ah in our translations. Let's see. 8.173. Yeah, Bala'ah. Which is, it says it means mistress. Another name for Kidratha Jeraim or Kirjath Baal, modern Kiryat El Anab. No idea what any of that stuff means. A town in the south of Yehudah. Also called Bala and Bilhah. That's what's in the concordance. And this word Ba'alah, shows